Hello and welcome to Lion Pride Sports. I'm Neil Fischer. Men's rugby has been one of the top programs at Lindenwood. Find out how they got there from head coach Josh Macy. Then we'll have men's basketball associate head coach Ryan Hamm, who is in the thick of things with the regular season winding down. But first, Coach Macy, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well in the thick of a really competitive season.
How's that season going for you so far?
You know, it's had its ups and downs. We play in the SEC of college rugby, and we play 5 top 10 teams in the regular season. So we've lost 2 of those games, and we've won 3 so far, with a couple more to go. So,
how difficult is that to face those top teams in the nation?
You just have to be on every day. You have to be able to prepare, help the guys understand what they're going to be up against every week, and just put them in the best possible position to succeed.
And what does it mean to the program to constantly be in the top 10 in the nation?
Well, we attract a ton of athletes from all over America and beyond, and it creates a really great hierarchy in our team. Guys are always competitive at training. They're always trying to win that spot, move up in the roster, and it just creates a great environment to coach in.
One thing I noticed looking through the lineup and the rosters for your program is that you guys have a bunch of men from all around the world, not just the United States. What's it like recruiting for this team?
The guys are avid recruiters. I mean, they care about our team and they want to see it improve. And, great players just get more great players. That being said, when everybody's on campus, you have to reconcile some cultural and linguistic differences. But once we get there and we get on the same page, it's just pride of Lions.
On Saturday against Life, you guys really weren't on the same page. How do you get back on the page this week coming up to the game on Saturday against Army?
It starts just making good decisions. When there's as little pressure on you as possible, that's when you have to do the right thing. And then the rest of your game can kind of come in behind that. Our decision making wasn't quite there this past weekend, and it hurt us. So this week against Army, our play calling, our game management needs to improve, and then that'll get us going forward thereafter.
What were some challenges that the team faced Saturday against Life?
So Life controls the game very well. You can be doing everything right, and you make one mistake, they pounce on it, and they flip the field on you, and now you're under the pump, defending on your own goal line. Playing more mistake-free rugby, but also making sure that we're spending, large swaths of times in the other team's half. That's always going to be really important.
Is it crucial to have possession of the ball for long periods of time? Does that make it easier to score and easier to defend as well?
Where you have the ball is more important in rugby versus if you have it or not. If you have it in your own end, there's not a lot that can be done from there. So it's really just about kicking it downfield and defending, and then using any opportunity you have in the other team's half.
So what goes into a week like this leading up for a good team in Army?
So they're, really physical, really aggressive, a lot of go-forward mentality, and so we have to prepare our guys for that. We need to win the contact point, defend courageously, and if we do those things, we'll be okay.
Does a lot of scouting and preparation go into the week leading up to the games?
So our guys get a ton of information. Our staff is really diligent about kind of dissecting the different parts of the games we coach and preparing our players as best we can. So right now our players kind of at their fingertips have about 10 hours of scout footage that's divided into the parts of the game that matter most to them. So they have lots of information. It's just about pulling out what's important and making sure they're ready to play on Saturday.
How difficult is it to come back after a week, after a tough game against Life, for the athletes' bodies to recover and everything to go into that game on Saturday?
Yeah, so Sunday and Monday is a lot about learning and recovery, but they have to be right back at it at Tuesday. It's part of the game. We're not playing tiddlywinks, and so just to have them back out today, we'll have a really physical, well-contested practice today, and we'll be right back at it.
And what goes on usually during these well-contested practices? You mentioned Tuesday and Thursday are the more tougher practices for the team. So what do you guys focus on when you practice?
So a lot of it is can you make gameplay decisions at gameplay speed, right? It's easy to walk through and kind of cognitively understand how things should be, but can you do that while you're flying around and people are trying to take your head off? And that's kind of what we're looking for on Tuesdays. And
you mentioned the incentive of kids being able to come up from the JV team to play on the varsity team. What is that feeling like for those kids to have that above their head and thinking about that and the opportunity to play on such a high level?
Yeah, so we don't have a split hierarchy between JV and varsity, and so we have guys work their way into the squad all the time. Somebody gets injured or maybe has a couple of bad games. You can almost hear those guys getting hungrier and hungrier, and that just makes them train harder, and it just all adds to a really competitive environment.
The sport of rugby in college is a very long and kind of grueling season. How does preparing for the season go into how you take each and every game?
It is a long season, and I think being able to use a variety of players throughout it helps us. We can give a guy a week off, or there's no rush to get a guy back from injury because we do have a lot of depth. And then when they have the opportunity to have time off, it's important that they take that time off too. Let their bodies, let their minds regenerate a little bit, and hopefully you're still ticking when the championships come.
And the sport of rugby isn't that big in the United States right now, but you mentioned that it's growing. How does traveling come into playing in the sport? Yeah,
it's an up and coming game. There's a nascent professional league that has 8 teams now that we have lots of alums playing for. It's great that they're kind of carrying the Lindenwood banner all over the country. And then we have another player, Chance Wengluski, who's a senior here. He's playing for the U.S. national team. In regularly televised games. Lindenwood being mentioned in that. So it's great. As rugby grows, our program is just so well positioned to grow with it because of our success.
What does it mean to the current players to see one of their own putting on the red, white, and blue to play for the United States?
It means a ton, and Chance is the latest one. We've had a history of that, and I think guys just understand, well, if they did it here at Lindenwood and I can do it, well, what else can I achieve out there? And it really is just a great motivator for the guys.
Now, you guys do play Saturday at 2 o'clock against Army. If someone's never been to a game before, what would they look for?
So think of the pace of basketball, right? The contact of football and sort of the rhythm of soccer. We run forward, pass backwards, and we tackle the guy with the ball. You'll be able to fill everything else in after that.
So how does scoring work in rugby? I know a try is
5 points, but you actually have to touch the ball down in the end zone. That's where we get the word touchdown from. After that, you can kick for a conversion or an extra point, and that's worth 2 points.
Is it difficult to get the ball touched down in the end zone?
So a lot of times when defenses are switched on and they'll hold you up in there, and so maybe you make it in, but they may pick you up and carry you out of bounds in that zone to prevent you from touching it down. So we normally talk about attacking the goal line just to make sure we keep that ball underneath of us and keep it safe to score.
And how difficult is it to kick in the sport of rugby?
So you have to kick from sideline to sideline. So if you score in the corner, you have to kick your extra point from the corner. We don't have hash marks to lean on to keep out all the kicks straight. And then you can kick at any time from open play as well. And that's our major way to win territory and kind of get our team into the other team's half.
Do you preach a lot of scoring in the middle of the field then, so it's easier to get those extra points?
We preach scoring first and foremost, but if there is an opportunity to get the ball into the middle of the field, the kicker might pat you on the back a little bit afterwards.
So in Army, what are you guys looking forward the most to with playing against them?
So they're a very physical team, very aggressive team, and they're going to challenge you. They're going to challenge you wherever they have the opportunity, wherever they can get their hands on you, right? So we need to keep the ball ticking, but we also need to answer that challenge. If a team tries to bully you, you have to stand up to that, and we'll be looking forward to doing that on Saturday.
You guys have just around 10 matches left this season. What are your expectations going forward in the season? So
we want to play better rugby all the way through the playoffs, and hopefully that gets us to a national championship game. Right now we have some key things to improve as we kind of go through this next cycle. We play Army's the number 4 team. Next weekend we play the number 5 team, and then we have Life again, the number 1 team. So we've got to keep getting better, and we've got to fix some of these mistakes if we want to be happy about this season.
Is playing at home a big advantage for the team?
Yeah, we love it. I mean, we get good crowds in Hunter. The student body is exuberant, to say the least. Lots of different teams come out to support us, and I think it just adds to a great atmosphere and experience for our guys. We're really proud to play for Lindenwood.
And you guys are currently 6th in the nation, is that correct?
Yeah.
So what's it been like? I know you guys are at the top of the polls every year and every week, but being at 6th, there's a lot of room to go forward and there's room to go backward. So how do you focus on going forward?
So we really don't pay attention to the teams that are behind us, obviously. And all it takes is one win, really the next one to move you forward.
And so you guys play Army and then the number 6 team and then Life again.
Yep.
And Life comes to St. Charles, is that correct?
Yes, obviously that's a big game. Played at night, March 23rd. We'd want to see Hunter Stadium fill for that one.
And so what is that like to always play the top teams in the nation? You don't really have a break, do you?
No, but it just becomes, you've got to nail your preparation. You've got to kind of hit your deadlines every week, and that's for the players too. They might have some bumps and bruises by Tuesday, but they know they need to have their bodies ready to play again. And so you just kind of get used to it. You fall in that rhythm to where you don't necessarily need a break because you're self-sustaining in a way. And
do the players ever just knock off the bumps and bruises and you get that big opponent, number 4 Army, we're going right after them, let's all go? Oh, yeah. I mean, as a rugby player, you're never going to be 100% healthy. It's just really what your mind is going to keep you or allow you to do. What is pregame preparation like? I know for baseball, it's kind of relaxing. You don't really get pumped up. You don't have to hit people or anything like that. So what's it like getting ready for that rugby game? The guys don't get too crazy because there's a ton of decisions that have to be made in split seconds on a rugby field. So if you're too anxious, if you have way too much mental anxiety, you can't make those decisions. So it really is more akin to baseball, where we hit people, but we got to have a clear head about it. And so you guys play March 2nd at 2 o'clock against Army. Anything else you'd like to add? No, we'll see everybody there. Thank you, Coach. That will do it for Lindenwood men's rugby head coach Josh Macy, whose team will go at it March 2nd at Hunter Stadium. Coming up, March is right around the corner, and so are the MIAA playoffs. Find out what it's going to take for the men's basketball team to get to Kansas City next on Lion Pride Sports.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
she doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
No, you said make it bigger, baby. The bigger, the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Lion Pride Sports. I'm Neil Fischer. Lindenwood men's basketball has faced obstacles all season, from squaring off against top teams in the nation to being stranded in a snowstorm on their way back to school. But with 2 regular season games remaining, the time to overcome all obstacles is now. Joining us from the men's basketball program is Associate Head Coach Ryan Hamm. Coach Hamm, how are you doing?
Doing great, Neil. Excited to be here with you guys.
You guys have faced obstacles all season long, the top teams in the nation. What's that been like?
Well, it's been a challenge, and every day it's been a focus to try to be our best in practice and in the games, with the #1 strength of schedule in the country all the way through preseason, and most of those games being on the road. We had Missouri Southern at home, and we had Northwest Missouri State at home. But other than that, everything's either been neutral site or on the road. So added that in to already the tough competition, and being away from home with no fans or very little support was challenging for us, but I think it's prepared us all the way through this conference season and prepared us for a week like this week where you're in a situation with 2 must-win games.
And you guys play Wednesday night against Central Missouri and then on Saturday against Southwest Baptist. You've played each of those teams on the road. You took 1 game out of the 2. You took Central Missouri at Central Missouri. What was that feeling like?
Yeah, Central Missouri is always a tough opponent. They're a very physical team, and anytime you can get out of Warrensburg with a win is a great feeling. So hopefully our guys remember what it was like, that game and that environment, and translate some things that we did well the first time over to Wednesday night, and then kind of fix some things that maybe didn't go our way or some things that we needed to touch up on headed into Wednesday's game.
And Southwest Baptist didn't go your guys' way, but it was a close game all the way to the end until some technical fouls and the score kind of got out of hand.
Right.
But up until that point, you guys were right there the entire game.
Right. No, again, another physical team, a very tough team on the road. We kind of got off to a slow start in that game, fought our way back, and had a chance to tie it there at the end. And a goaltending call that was missed didn't go our way. Like you said, the final score doesn't really reflect how close the game was. So both games there, single-digit games on the road, and really look forward to the challenge that Saturday presents, and it'll be a great day. A lot of energy in the building with it being senior day, and really excited for that.
So the seeding for the playoffs, you guys are tied for 7th right now. It's very packed in the middle of that. What is that like, knowing that you guys have to win at least one of these 2 games?
Well, it's great knowing that both teams that we play this week are 2 of the teams that we're tied with, so the ball really is in our court, so to speak. So going out with just a focus of 1 game, 1 possession at a time, not looking at the big picture as far as, all right, if we win 2, this happens, or if we win 1, this happens, or if we don't win any, what happens? Like, you can't have that kind of mindset going into each game. It's got to be a focus on every single possession, doing your job, treating it as if it was the first game of the year, with all those things still on the table, but still being prepared, executing the scout, executing the game plan, and just playing as hard as you can play.
In the last 2 weeks, the team has played very well, the 3-game road winning streak. What was that like?
Well, anytime you can go to Hayes and Kearney, that length of a bus trip, and get out of there with 2 wins is remarkable. I'm pretty sure that's the first time in school history that the men's basketball team has won both games on that road trip. And then you bounce back. We had to stay overnight at Kearney. We're on the way back from Kearney because of some snow that you alluded to, and then have to turn around and go to Lincoln on Tuesday, another very tough place to play and a very good, explosive offensive team. Get out of there with a win. That speaks a lot about our guys and what we're capable of. So moving forward, trying to accentuate on those things that we did well in those games is really huge for us moving forward.
And then, of course, Washburn at home didn't go your guys' way, but how hard is it for the team to play that many games in that many days?
Well, with 4 games in 7 days, with the length of the trips that we had, the very little preparation that we were able to get in for Washburn. Wednesday, we didn't do much. We just watched film and shot free throws. So it changed our total dynamic for preparation going into Thursday's game. We had to go way more live Thursday afternoon than we would typically do, trying to put in everything that we needed to do for Washburn. And just the 4 games in 7 days, and where Washburn was at home the weekend before, no game on Tuesday, really allowed them, we feel like, to be better prepared for us, fresher legs. And they're a really good team. They've put a lot of pressure on you. They've got size, they've got shooters, they've got an athletic wing that can score. They're a great team. So not taking anything away from them, they definitely came in and played a great game.
And if you followed the program at all over the course of the year, every series has mostly been on Thursday you guys will play and on Saturday you guys will play. At the end of the season, it's starting to change to a midweek game and one on the weekend. What is that like to prepare for?
Well, it's totally different. We were just kind of talking in the office about our schedule for the rest of the week because we're not used to having these Wednesday, Saturday games, so just making sure we're on the same page with everything moving forward. But it does allow for some more rest and recovery, some more time to prepare. Usually with that Thursday, Saturday turnaround, Friday is basically a walkthrough where you're just getting some shots up and literally walking through your game plan. Whereas now, with the Wednesday, Saturday game, we'll have a little bit more turnaround time. Thursday, we can spend a little bit more time on Southwest Baptist and kind of go over some things that we did well and didn't do well in the Central Missouri game on Wednesday. But it does more mental freshness for our guys, too, not having to play essentially back-to-back.
And you guys have switched up from man-to-man defense to the zone D. How has that helped you guys?
Well, we have some coverages in our zone that are more man-to-man principles with some matchup tendencies, but just in general, it's given teams different looks. Nobody else in our league really plays a zone defense, so having them basically take out everything that they would typically do from a preparation standpoint and spend time and focus on it from a practice standpoint as a coach, that really plays a factor because you're so used to your routine and practice and executing what you do and what you do well, and having to go against the zone is totally different. It's really beneficial in those quick turnarounds like the Thursday, Saturday games. If it's the Saturday team, they've got one day to prep for a zone. But it also allows some of our guys that are more athletic and our length on the wings to really get out there. We've done a poor job this year in ball screen defense, so it takes that out of the equation altogether. We don't have to worry about guarding ball screens and getting switches and some different things that have hurt us this season. But it's also energized our guys too, because they're able to see, all right, we're getting stops now. We're getting stops on the defensive end, which allows us to run and get out and transition on O, which everybody loves to do. So I think that's been a big part of it, and then just having success with it, getting those 3 wins on the road after we transition to the zone really has that confidence and built-in trust from our guys now moving forward.
And from an opposing viewpoint, if you had to coach against a team in December and now are coaching against the same team in February, in late February, early March, and they come up with a different defensive scheme, is that difficult to prepare for with limited film to watch?
Absolutely. No, I mean, for us, even going back through the teams that now we're playing twice or the second time around, you're able to keep a lot of the same information that you have from that first scout. Now, obviously, some things change. People are playing better. Somebody may have got hurt, or they may have changed a little tweak here or there with their offensive attack. But to basically totally change everything that you do defensively is totally different for these teams. So the game plan that they had the first time around is going to be totally different for the second time, whether they were successful or unsuccessful against us in that first game. And then kind of moving forward from a conference tournament standpoint, you have those back-to-back-to-back games potentially in Kansas City. There is very little time to prep for a zone. So if you haven't worked on it in the weeks prior to, you're not going to have much court time to kind of see it. And you can watch it all you want and you can talk about it as much as you want, but if you haven't went against it, it does provide a different element for these offenses to go against.
So switching over to the offensive side of Lindenwood basketball, what is the game plan for Wednesday night against Central Missouri?
Well, the first time around, we did a great job attacking them low. We added up the fouls early with some deep post touches, some physical play. We were able to get out in transition and make them run. I think both of those things have to carry over. Central Missouri is a tough team to score against, so we can't allow them to push us out extended from the basket, which they do a great job of. So staying physical on just getting open is a very big thing. It may seem like very minor. What are you talking about getting open? But in how they guard it, it's a big part of their game plan. So making sure we're getting catches deeper to the three-point line, which will allow our post guys to get deeper post touches. And then getting to the foul line against them is huge. It's not very often that a team shoots more free throws than Central Missouri does, and we were able to do that the first time around in Warrensburg. So having that attack mentality, not settling for jump shots, not getting into late clock situations will be huge for us Wednesday night on the offensive side.
Is it going to be important to get the post men their opportunities in the early going of the game, to get the perimeter shooters the opportunity to get the kickouts and the three-pointers?
Absolutely. We want to attack inside out every single game, and a lot of that comes in transition, getting to the rim early in transition, getting some easy baskets, but then when we flow to the half court, especially with that starting lineup with Diego, Chandler, and Drew, somebody's going to have a mismatch on that block. So trying to take advantage of that, get them a deep post touch, make the defense sink, and heads turn when that ball goes low, especially if you're getting scored on multiple times down there. That will open up and free up some of these guys on the perimeter to shoot with confidence and have cleaner looks from three, which is what we need.
And Central Missouri is one of the closer teams in the MIAA, but traveling the day of the game is very difficult for any sport. How will that affect a basketball team?
Well, it's definitely unique. I know for some of our guys, they like it, and some of our guys absolutely hate it. So for them, it kind of comes down to their individual preference. But we're very familiar with each other from a game plan standpoint, so it's not like they're having to do anything too taxing on their bodies this week leading up to it, so they should be fresh, we should be fresh. But it just the mental side of it, you know, as a player, and myself at one stage as a player, like, you have your game day routines that you're used to. And when you're kind of thrown off of that, it can definitely just mess up your entire day, which can affect how you play.
And looking towards Saturday, it is Senior Day against Southwest Baptist. What have the seniors meant to the program?
They're great ambassadors, not only for our program, but the school, the community. Excuse me. Great in the classroom, great in camp situations, great helping out. Every single one of them, yes sir, no sir, no problem talking to anybody or helping anybody out. And then from a basketball standpoint, what they're able to do on a daily basis, even somebody such as Brian, who may not get as much playing time, but he brings it every single day. Great guy to be around, and they're definitely going to be missed. So hopefully we can go out Saturday, honor them, everybody else kind of lift themselves up and play as hard as they can for them.
How does it work for the younger guys to see the seniors getting their moment and their spotlight before the game and then having the opportunity to get themselves and propel themselves to Kansas City for the MIAA playoffs?
Well, as you said, there's a lot at stake. So knowing that ahead of time, having family in the stands, having friends in the stand should give an extra level of boost and energy going into the game. But once the ball's tipped, I think a lot of that just kind of goes out, and it's another game, another 40 minutes of playing as hard as you can. But just having that extra level of support, extra level of just kind of urgency and fight moving forward, hopefully is a key factor for us being at home versus being on the road in two crucial games this week.
And being at home, Central Missouri on Wednesday night is a blackout theme. How will that help playing at home against Central Missouri? I know they're not far away, so they're running for the MIAA playoffs too. They'll probably have a good crowd. You'll have a good crowd. What is that environment going to be like?
It should be fun. Every time we play Central Missouri at home is a great environment, great crowd. As you mentioned, the blackout, they'll be giving away black T-shirts for the first several students that get to the games. We'll be wearing our black jerseys, which will be a different feel for us at home, but we've won 3 in a row on the road in the blacks. So hopefully that kind of continues from that kind of superstition standpoint. But no, they'll bring a good crowd. We'll have a good crowd. Should be a good game with two teams playing with something to prove and something to earn moving forward into next week.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you to Coach Hamm and Coach Macy for joining me. Good luck the rest of the season. Catch the men's basketball team at home against Central Missouri February 27th and March 2nd against Southwest Baptist, while men's rugby will be competing March 2nd against Army. I'm Neil Fischer. Thanks for watching Lion Pride Sports.